You remember this guy? The Pokemon is what I call him, the Pokemon pastor. Name is Stephen Dollins, okay? And he got famous a while back. This clip made its rounds on Reddit. He got famous for this. Watch.
Pokemon, Pocket Monster, the spiral. And it stands for what? Male fertility. It's supposed to be able to mesmerize and hypnotize its enemies. This character over here is called Mewtwo. Every time that you see Mewtwo, he's in this pose. 3 fingers. It means Hail Satan.
Okay, so that's Stephen Dollins. He is a nutter butter of epic proportions, if you will. So I figured what we'd do, I got my hands on the full sermon that he gave on Pokemon. It was actually on Pokemon and Magic the Gathering simultaneously. It is 35 minutes long, so I figured what we'd do is we would watch the full sermon while playing Pokemon. Are you guys down? I've been going through this sermon that he gave. It's 2.5 hours long, and it is his explanation or description of what it was like to join the Church of Satan and summon demons while being a member of the Church of Satan. Complete nonsense from the ground up. The Church of Satan is non-theistic. Like, there is no basis to his claims. No basis in reality whatsoever. But it's been entertaining as hell, honestly, to listen to him talk about it. Just make things up right off the top of his head. So, anyway, that if you're interested in hearing more about that, about watching his sermon on joining the Church of Satan and being a high priest in it and all that stuff, come over to my Twitch and or my Telltale Unfiltered channel. Anyways, with all that being said, now that you've been caught up, why don't we play some Pokemon while watching the Pokemon pastor get deeply, deeply upset that Pokemon and Magic the Gathering exist in the first place.
Now, a lot of things come over from the Orient. A lot of things come over from the Orient.
It's kind of a weird way of saying, you know, things are imported from Japan or whatever, but okay. I feel like that has deeply racist undertones, but okay.
From the Orient. And some things have a big impact on us and some things don't. I can't think of anything that come over from the Orient that actually had a big impact or a phenomenon type craze other than Godzilla. But there is something new that's come over to the United States and has actually captured the minds and the imagination of every single child. And you know what? It's not new at all. Japanese kids have been watching this thing since 1995. It started out as a cartoon.
Now, I think this came out in the early 2000s. It's in 4:3 aspect ratio. I believe it released on TV, but the Prophecy Club, which is where he is holding this event, is a YouTube channel now. They have a full-blown YouTube channel at this moment, so that's kind of interesting. I've gone through a little bit of their stuff. The guy that led the Prophecy Club back then, like the owner of it or whatever, he's on the YouTube channel still. So for what that's worth, kind of interesting.
It started out as a cartoon, went to a comic book. They made it into a video game, went to toys, collectible card game. Now, praise God, there's even a movie on it. And it was started in 1995. It's not new, but it's new to kids, and they're eating it up.
Look, you can tell how old this is because he's using a projector. The older people in my audience, like myself, will remember in school they didn't have smart boards. Well, they did for a short time at the end of my school career, but they really used projectors a lot in school.
It's called Pokemon. And it stands for Pocket Monster. And it even made the cover of Time magazine. Now, the first thing I want you to notice is, do you notice any symbol up there that you've seen before?
It's just a Poliwhirl, man.
The spiral. And it stands for what? Male fertility.
Remember, this guy believes himself to be like an ex-Satanist, or he claims to be. I don't know that he can't possibly believe that he actually is, right? All the claims that he made about being a Satanist were complete nonsense. Claims that he sits around in a circle summoning demons and sending these demons to Christians to harass them. It's just nonsense from beginning to end. It's hilarious nonsense, though. Oh my God, he said some funny stuff in that video earlier today. But at any rate, the guy is claiming to come from a background of being a Satanist, and as a result has all these bizarre ideas about what all this stuff means, you know, male fertility and blah, blah, blah.
Now, this thing is actually called Poliwhirl, but they actually had another name for it before they renamed it. When this creature first came out, it was called Hypno.
No, that's a different Pokemon. Hypno is a Pokemon still. At this time, it was a Pokemon.
And they changed it to Poliwhirl to make it a little more innocent. But you see, what it actually does is it's supposed to be able to mesmerize and hypnotize its enemies. And you can...
Okay, yeah, I guess it's a psychic water Pokemon, so I suppose that kind of checks out, right?
What it does is it's supposed to be able to mesmerize and hypnotize its enemies. And you can see how that would happen. That starts spinning around, and it's just like one of those hypnotic wheels that they use to hypnotize.
Yeah, hypnotism is fake, by the way, in my opinion. I have a 2-year degree, an associate's degree in a psychology field, substance abuse counseling. And I've been through the classes to talk about manipulation and, you know, all kinds of different things. I've been through all kinds of different classes, sociology and psychology classes of all sorts. In my semi-professional opinion, hypnosis is not real. I'm willing to be convinced otherwise if I see some evidence. I just haven't seen any convincing evidence of it right now.
And you see up here in the top, here's a creature, an alligator-type creature over here, dragon.
It's called Charizard. Oh, my God.
Kind of a funny duck-billed thing down here.
Psyduck. Does this guy know absolutely nothing about Pokemon? It had been out for years at this point. Come on.
Thing down here. And this is an interesting character over here. This character over here is called Mewtwo. And Mewtwo looks like an alien. If you look at him real carefully, he looks like an alien. But you know, the first thing that I noticed about that thing is, when I looked at it, and I looked at those eyes, I said, you know what? That kind of looks like the things that we used to pray to inside that circle.
That magic circle, yeah. He's claiming to be a Satanist, and he says he sits inside of a magic circle and does prayers to Satan and summons demons. Again, there are theistic Satanists out there. They exist. Joy of Satan is one. Order of Nine Angles. I mean, they're out there. They're not very common, and they're very, very tiny. But they're around. But no, he didn't pick any of those. He decided to claim that he's from the Church of Satan. From Anton LaVey. He named Anton LaVey very specifically as the founder of the group that he's a part of, or claimed to be a part of originally. That's non-theistic. They do not believe that God is a real thing, a real person. They don't believe that Satan is real. They just respect him as a literary character.
Now you notice that he has a particular salute that he's given. And he's in this pose. Every time that you see Mewtwo, he's in this pose.
Well, no, that's simply untrue. But, he's got 3 fingers. So, naturally, the only hand symbol he can make is one with 3 fingers, right?
Now, he has 3 fingers. And those 3 fingers are always sticking out like that. Now,
what else is he supposed to do with them?
He doesn't have 5 fingers like we do. He has 3. But if they were the 3, on us, they'd be this. And that doesn't mean hook 'em horns, doesn't mean I love you, doesn't mean one more. It means hail Satan. It's the satanic salute that all Satanists identify themselves with.
Satans identify each other with the hail Satan. God. This is so ridiculous, man. How ridiculous is this going to get, honestly?
And it says here, you look here, it says for many kids, it's now an addiction. Very much so. Cards, video games, toys, a new movie. Is it bad for them?
No, it's a video game. It is not bad for them. If you think it is, you live in a delusional world.
What we need to look at is whether or not that particular statement holds true. Is it bad for them?
No.
Here's one of the characters. Cute little one. Everybody go, oh, come on.
Aww.
I know you wanted to do that, see? That's why I did that. He's cute. But the one thing I noticed about him right off, this is Pikachu. One thing I noticed about him right off was his tail. It's a lightning bolt. And it's a Satanic Z.
What? I say it doesn't even look like a Z. In no stretch of the imagination is his tail a Z. Maybe a backwards Z. Maybe. And who cares if it's a Z anyways? Are Z's satanic?
It even comes down here to a point. Now, just by looking at him alone is not enough to really be able to say, okay, yeah, that's bad or that's satanic. What we first need to do is we need to look at the actual production of these things. And the first thing we need to do is we need to look at who actually produced the trading card game that has captured the minds and the imaginations of our children.
Okay, I assume he's talking about the Pokemon trading card game, right?
Now, it doesn't make any difference what I say. It's what their own material says, because their own material will give them away. Okay? So I'm going to read to you. Here's a direct quote from the web pages of the producer of this game. Listen to this. The Pokemon trading card game is a new collectible card game that is made and distributed by Wizards of the Coast. What is a wizard? Male practitioner of black magic.
Oh my God. And he thinks that like the creator gave themselves away by like naming themselves Wizards of the Coast. It's like these people seem to have this weird idea that Satanists and witches and wizards absolutely can't keep it hidden. They have to give little hints to everybody around because it's like part of their ideology. Like Satan always hints at who he is or whatever. It's just so bizarre, man. Really. Wait, somebody's telling me Wizards of the Coast originally did make Pokemon cards. Is that a true fact or is that a false fact? I was looking for it, but okay, maybe they did. Well, either way, this whole thing is about Magic the Gathering too, so.
Wizards of the Coast, the same company that made the best-selling game Magic the Gathering.
There it is.
Magic the Gathering is a heavily occult-laced trading card game which has been very popular in the 90s. And I should also tell you that Wizards of the Coast also owns a subsidiary company named TSR, and TSR is the company that puts out all Dungeons and Dragons material.
And of course, Dungeons and Dragons is absolutely evil and sinful and wrong, and you're a heathen if you believe it or play it or whatever else. So he gets into a lot of that later, too. By the by, as you can see, I'm cheating in this game. That's because I enjoy cheating. I play this game because I want to have fun, not because I want to burn through $6,000 worth of Pokeballs in 2 minutes. I want to have fun, so that's what I'm doing. I'm using save states to reload if I don't catch it the first time. Anyway, so Dungeons and Dragons, interestingly enough, here's a little fun fact for you. It was actually created by a Jehovah's Witness. The creator's name was, what was it, Gary Gygax, I think? Yeah, Gary Gygax. He was a Jehovah's Witness. Of course, Jehovah's Witnesses disavow that game, too. You can't play that and be a Jehovah's Witness, but that's neither here nor there.
So let's look at Magic the Gathering, because this is the same company that puts out Pokemon. So let's see where they're coming from. Now, from seeing the symbols, your actual discernment should now begin to be sharpened. How many see a circle?
Oh, this is getting into the magic circle stuff he's talking about earlier, that Satanist stuff.
How many see a pentagram? Yeah. If you look, there it is. See that? Magic the Gathering. This is a role-playing game. Now, parents, in case you don't know what that is, that means that your child actually becomes a character in the game.
Oh, that's scandalous.
Actually becomes a part of the game. And that's what makes it exciting, is there's not many games out there that they can actually become a part of. They can play it, but they don't actually become a part of it. In this particular game, they actually do become a character in the game. And remember, it said that it's an occult game. One of the dangers of this thing is, being a role-playing game, is that it's played with the mind. How many know that the mind...
How many know that you're not supposed to use your mind ever? Is that right, old Stephen Dollins? You're not supposed to use your mind at all?
Is a very fragile thing. And what happens is, in these role-playing games, I'm going to use the example of Dungeons & Dragons because TSR is the one that puts out all their material. The danger of Dungeons & Dragons, or any kind of role-playing game like this, is that it's played with the mind, and when played with the mind begins to lose that fine line with what's real and what's fantasy.
Is he telling us that people who play Dungeons & Dragons don't realize that what they're doing is playing a game, and they think that they're actually like a wizard wandering around like killing goblins and stuff? That reality and fantasy blur, and they believe that they are actually an orc with like a broadsword? Is that what he's telling us right now?
And the more you get into the fantasy world, the more it seems real, and all of a sudden now you don't know what's real and what's not. In Dungeons & Dragons, this is a game played by 3 or 4 people. And what you do is you have one particular person that's the dungeon master, and he sets all the rules up for this thing. And then in your mind, you actually fight battles. You go through mazes, you go through dungeons, and you actually fight wars with evil wizards, dragons, demons, powerful satanic beings. It's all in the mind. And
I'm sorry, man. I'm not seeing the problem here. Are you demonizing games in general? Are you saying that, like, games as a whole are bad? Like, people should not play games at all? Is that what I'm picking up here? Sarvis the Drow. I didn't know Gygax was a JW. I knew he was a Christian of some flavor who was scared that the panic about his game would lead to people at his church being harassed. Yep, he's a Jehovah's Witness for a long, long time. I think, I don't know this for a fact. I heard that he left the religion afterward, but, you know, somebody would have to look into it to be sure of that.
I mean, if you've got a vivid imagination, you can have one heck of a game.
Absolutely. That's what makes Dungeons & Dragons so fun. For what it's worth, I've never actually played the game before, though. I've heard a lot about it, and a lot of people in my audience seem to be very fond of Dungeons & Dragons. It's just never been my thing.
Of a game. And what happens is that you can play this game for 10 to 12 years. Because the object is, as long as your character is alive, you're in the game.
Okay, I suppose that's true. There are campaigns that can go for 10 to 12 years. I don't think that's that common, but all right.
Once your character dies or gets killed in that particular game, you're out. So you can imagine that if a person loses touch with reality and now they've actually become that character, guess what? Anything that happens to that character now happens to them.
This is such a good example of propaganda and taking trivial events or ideas to an extreme. Like, Jehovah's Witnesses have this aversion to celebrating Christmas because they think that it has some pagan roots to it, right? They don't want to contribute to the big Christmas industry because they think that if you do, like, you're displeasing Jehovah. You're making him unhappy. Jehovah doesn't like you taking part in pagan things, and Christmas is naturally very pagan, blah, blah, blah. But is it really that important? Like, what is Christmas really about? It's just about having fun, giving gifts, and enjoying yourself, enjoying life, being around family, right? Is it really so important? Does Jehovah care so much about you, like, doing something that may have some weak links to paganism, that he wants you to miss out on this massively culturally important event? Did he want you to miss out on hanging out with friends and family and giving gifts and enjoying your time with them? I would argue Jehovah isn't real, so can't possibly give a shit, but that's beside the point. I would argue that's extremism. That's going completely off the deep end into just eating yourself alive with extremism, basically, is what's happening there. And that is exactly what we're watching happening. That's exactly what we're watching happen with this guy right here. He's finding some weak, perceived links between these two things and claiming it means that demons are around and you're inviting demons into your life and blah, blah, blah. It's just, he's just eating himself alive with extremism and going down an ugly path.
And there's overwhelming evidence, psychiatrists and psychologists both tell us, there's overwhelming evidence showing that a lot of teenage suicides that are caused by Dungeons and Dragons are caused because the player has finally lost touch with reality.
Hey, great. Psychologists and doctors and stuff are telling us this. Awesome. Show me. Show me the evidence of that. That's completely fabricated. There's no evidence to support what he just said. None. And he's standing up here telling his audience that there is.
Evidence showing that a lot of teenage suicides that are caused by Dungeons and Dragons are caused because the player has finally lost touch with reality.
No. In no way, shape, or form is that true. Not even close. I'm telling you guys, this is how it works. This is how these people descend into madness, is by coming up with this idea and finding, like, this fear of demons, these fears and phobias of all these different things. They look for evidence of this stuff in every part of their lives. And it's a death spiral at a certain point.
And what's happened to them now, they actually feel a psychic bond with that character. And so the character gets killed off and no longer in the game. You have no purpose, because all your purpose was for the last 10 to 12 years was playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Psychic bonds aren't real because psychics aren't real.
So your character gets knocked off, guess what? So do you. So let's go back to Magic the Gathering. Here's one of the cards. Yeah, isn't he cute?
At the end of each turn, put a 1/1 counter on Cabal Ghoul or Cabal Ghoul for each other creature, or for each other creature that died during the turn that was not regenerated. Okay, so this is Cabal Ghoul, I guess. It's just a playing card, Steve. It's just a playing card, nothing more.
This is Cabal Ghoul. Now, you notice that there's counters up here. In other words, this stands for 2 points. And it says Cabal Ghoul. Now, in case you don't know what a ghoul is, it's a dead, rotting, decaying thing that's been in the ground and magically summoned back to life. So you have a walking dead thing. And
yeah, it's just fun, Steve. Why are you trying to kill everybody's fun?
Thing. And that's what a ghoul is. And in this particular thing, it says, at the end of each turn, put a 1/1 counter on Cabal Ghoul for each other creature that died during the turn and was not regenerated. In other words, you have cards that'll actually keep your character alive for a certain amount of time. Here's another interesting card, because it's called the All Hallows Eve card. Again, this is all in Magic.
Okay.
Magic the Gathering. By the way, there was a news clip that I read about 2 weeks ago that spoke of a young boy in Maine. I don't remember what the town was, but it was in Maine.
Isn't that convenient? Doesn't remember anything about the case, doesn't remember what the newspaper was or where this happened, but he remembers it. Not going to give us any evidence of it, but he's assuring us that it most definitely happened.
And he came home one day and asked his mother about Magic the Gathering and said that the teacher had decided to use Magic the Gathering, this card game, as a new and exciting way to teach mathematics in school, in their class.
Okay, I deeply doubt that. I deeply doubt that's true. But all right, I'm with you so far. Go on.
And they even formed what was called a magic club, and that all the kids were part of this magic club. Well, the mother said, well, you're not going to become a part of that. You're not going to be in that. But one of the kids had given him one of the cards, and that card he showed to his mother. And that card was called Necromancer. And on that card, it showed spiritual beings actually being risen up out of the ground, out of their grave. And then he asked his mother, what does summon mean? And she said, why do you ask that? And she said, he told her, he said, because all the kids on recess go outside on the school grounds, pick up huge sticks, wave them in the air, and say, spirits, enter me.
Okay, again, I deeply doubt it. He says he saw this in the newspaper? Is that what he told us at the very beginning of this? I'm sorry, man. I just simply don't believe you. Show me the evidence. I'm willing to accept it if it's true. All I need is evidence. That's it. Simple as that. Selective amnesia, Wesley Oliver. Yeah, absolutely. Selective amnesia.
True.
True, he says. Okay, yeah, I bet. Absolutely.
True.
No, I think he's probably talking to somebody in the audience. It's not loud enough to tell what they said, but I'm sure it was nonsense.
This is All Hallows Eve. Again, 2 points symbolized by 2 skulls. Here's your demonic black cat. I guess it's a black cat. I've never seen anything look like that. There's your demon in the middle.
It looks like a cougar or a panther of some sort.
Jack-o'-lantern, full moon, and it says this card is called sorcery. Sorcery comes from the Greek word pharmakeia. It's where we get the word pharmaceutical. In occultism, it's witchcraft through drugs. Sorcery.
Okay, again, I don't know how true this is. This could be a complete fabrication. Do not believe a word this guy says without looking into it yourself.
And it says, put 2 counters on this card, remove a counter during your upkeep, and when you remove the last counter from All Hallows Eve, all players take all creatures from their graveyards and put them directly into play. Treat these creatures as though they were just summoned. You choose what order they come into play. Remember that, again, this is a role-playing game. This is called the Magician. I wonder why.
Because it's super evil? Because it's satanic and Satan is trying to take your children?
Here you see the man kneeling, and look, he's forming with his hands the triangle. Right there.
Oh no, is he talking about the Illuminati right now? He was talking about the Illuminati earlier on Twitch in his Satanism. What do you... I'm trying to remember what it's called. The Occult in Your Living Room. That was the name of the video that we were watching earlier, where he tells everybody that he's coming out as a Satanist and he left the church behind and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he talks a lot about the Illuminati in that, so.
He's kneeling in front of a flame. There are the crescent moons behind him. Over here can only be demons. Hellfire all around here. It's called the Magician. And these are collectible cards. And these are cards that one day your child may come home with. Or may know of a student that has given him some of these cards. Now you will know what they are. So let's go back to Pokemon. Because now we've already established that the same company that puts out that game and puts out Dungeons and Dragons puts out cute little Pokemon.
I think he means the same company that puts out the Pokemon cards is the one that puts out Magic the Gathering cards, not Dungeons and Dragons, right? Didn't he say earlier there's a different company that did that? I don't know. I think he's confusing things a little bit here.
Isn't that interesting? Now,
yeah, the implication here is that there's a cabal that it has set their sights on, like, manipulating little kids and bringing them into this satanic club or whatever. That's what he's trying to communicate.
Before we go any further, I want to see that if we as a group can agree on something. So I need little audience participation here to say yes or no. Okay?
Cool.
Are you into that?
Sure.
Okay. Listen to me carefully. If we examine the characters of this particular program, and they are the kind of role models that we want our kids to be watching. In other words, if this whole game, the characters of this game, the monsters, this whole premise of this thing actually goes to establish the kind of values, the kind of standards, and the kind of morals that we want our kids to have when they reach adulthood, that it's okay. In other words, if they actually help to establish the kind of morals, values, and standards that we want our children or our grandchildren to have when they get to be an adult, that it must be all right. Can we agree on that?
Why do TV shows constantly have to push moral values on kids? Why can't they just like a show because they like a show? Why is that not possible? Why does everything have to be super ultra mega giga Christian constantly? I don't understand. No, I'm sorry, I can't agree on that, Steve. I'm not going to agree to that. People can just enjoy TV shows sometimes and stuff.
Okay, so what we need to do is we need to examine and see what kind of role models we have in this game. Now, what we need to do then, everybody go, oh, again. Oh, I know, he's cute, isn't he? Little satanic tail.
Little satanic tail. He is so deeply cringy. His whole life, beginning to end, including that gorgeous haircut he's wearing, is just as cringy as it comes. You know, this guy actually, a while back on my main channel, on this YouTube channel, I did a video about this guy. Went through his Twitter, went through his Facebook, talked about a little bit of his history and stuff. He apparently was involved in pro wrestling for a while. And I guess that's probably, I don't know. That's where the haircut comes from, I'm assuming. It looks like a pro wrestler haircut. At least a pro wrestler haircut from the 2000s or 90s or so. And he has gone completely off the deep end. Completely. I mean, recently, in recent months, this year, 2022, he started tweeting at Kanye West, telling him he has a safe house set up for him because they're coming for him and he needs to get out of the public eye immediately or they're going to get him, and just all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, the dude has entered a full-blown death spiral into insanity, sadly. I take no pleasure in that. It's really very, very sad, truly. But, I have to imagine that it was always sitting there just waiting for the opportunity to make its appearance, that crazy, unhinged from reality type of thing. That part of his personality was always sitting there in the background. It's really, really sad, honestly. Oh, we were watching this. Okay.
Up here is the Pokemon ball. Okay, that's this thing here.
It's not a Pokemon ball. It's a Pokeball. Not a Pokemon ball, a Pokeball.
Okay, and inside of that, you catch the Pokemon.
Correct so far, I suppose.
Let the camera get a view of that. That's the Pokemon ball, and you actually catch the monster inside of that thing and harness the power in there. And then you can call on that power to regenerate itself outside of that ball. And praise God, it turns into a bigger and better monster.
I'm sorry, what? What does all of that mean? I don't understand. You throw the ball at a Pokemon, you catch that Pokemon, and that's where the Pokemon stays until you want the Pokemon to come out of the ball. And then you throw the ball on the ground and the Pokemon comes out and whatever. What is all this about it regenerating power outside of what?
Now, we're told that there are 150 species of these particular creatures on the face of the earth.
Yeah, somebody says, Pokeball, you uncultured swine. Exactly. That's funny. Okay, let's keep listening.
Monster. Now, we're told that there are 150 species of these particular creatures on the face of the earth. And we're also told in the material that these pocket monsters are creatures that inhabit the world with humans.
Okay, so 150, that means that Gen 1 had come out, but Gen 2 had not. Or he wasn't up to date on when Gen 2 came out. So, this may actually be late 90s in that case when this came out. If Gen 2 hadn't come out yet. Like I said, maybe he just wasn't up to date on how many there were.
And that they can evolve and grow in bigger and better creatures.
Ooh, that word evolution. This audience does not like that word.
Now, the object of this game is gotta catch 'em all. And they tell you that if you catch 'em all, you become a Pokemon master. Listen, parents, that word master will appeal to any child because they can become a somebody. They can become a master. And you know what? If you're the master of something, you don't need mom, you don't need dad, you don't need grandparents, you don't need aunts and uncles, you don't need school, and you probably don't even need a church.
What are you talking about? You're telling me you think that playing a video game recreationally is going to make kids think that they don't need their parents or family members or their church? This is so deeply unhinged from reality. I really do not know a better term to use here.
Because you're a master. You can become a god.
Okay, it's not about being a god. It's about training Pokemon and having a good time, man. Oh my god.
That's the premise of what this has been teaching.
No, it's not teaching kids to be a god.
You become the Pokemon master. That's the whole premise and the whole goal of this game. Now, this is the main character right here. He's called Ash Ketchum. Not Hal Ketchum, but Ash Ketchum.
I don't get that. Is that a reference to some old movie at the time or something?
Okay. And again, it doesn't make any difference what I say, it's what their own material says. I'm going to tell you what they describe him as. Listen to this. An energetic and determined 10-year-old who's a little too competitive, and he's obsessed with catching all Pokemon and driven to become the world's foremost Pokemon master. And you know, every time that your children watch this program, whether it's a video...
I don't remember that part of the rap song. What about this enchantment thing?
Gotta catch them all. Over and over and over and over again. You know what it does? It fuels your child's craving for more cards, more books, more videos, more movies. It's designed to do that. That's what we call enchanting.
No, that's what we call marketing. What are you talking about, Steve? Hey, quit it, kitty. She's scratching my thing.
Here's the next character. This is Misty. Look at this. Now, this is off of a comic book. This is actually a page of a comic book. But if this was clear, if this was actually clear, you'd see that that's a halter top. It stops right there. And she's got short shorts on. And you know she's got to be about the same age as what Ash is.
Obviously saying that she's inappropriately dressed, and that's going to rub off on the kids who consume the show, right?
Okay. And she's described as Ash's companion, and listen to what it says about her.
Oh, Pokemon canonically shrink themselves down to fit in Pokeballs. Okay, well, there you go. There's a little Pokemon fun fact for you. That's pretty interesting.
Got short shorts on, and you know she's got to be about the same age as what Ash is. Okay? And she's described as Ash's companion, and listen to what it says about her. She's headstrong and stubborn, constantly arguing with Ash. Typical woman. No, just kidding. God forgive me. All right.
Please don't do that again, Steve. I am begging you. That is the cringiest shit I have heard in a while. That is absolutely awful. Jesus Christ.
Frivolous.
He seems to think this is hilarious.
God forgive me. All right. Frivolous spirit, that's what it was. And here's Brock over here in the corner, and Brock is by far the most hormonal because his fascination with the opposite sex many times gets him or the group in trouble.
I've watched the TV show. It's been a while. I was a little kid when I saw it. It was banned by Jehovah's Witnesses, or by my parents. It was banned by my parents. I guess it was congregation to congregation if kids were allowed to watch the show. I was allowed to play the game. But anyways, I don't really remember that from the TV show. Maybe that is the case, but yeah, okay, who cares? Like, the dude was interested in girls or partners at that age. Who cares? Like, that happens. It was probably relatable to the kids watching, you know, other 10 to 12-year-olds. They were probably feeling the same way at the time. Everybody at that, or many people at that age, are interested in finding a partner.
Well, then there's Pokemon trainer Gary. And Gary's not pictured in here, but Gary is a real self-centered jerk. He's vindictive and he's obnoxious. And then there are two characters, and one's called Jesse, and the other one's called James. And listen to what it says about them.
Yeah, Jesse and James, if you're not familiar, they're like Team Rocket. They were the two, like, antagonists in the story or whatever. Okay, let's see what it says about them.
It says, prepare for trouble, make it double. Jesse and James are an evil gang looking to steal rare Pokemon. Jesse and James are stuck up, fashion conscious, and you know what? In the program, they're also prone to cross-dressing.
Oh, give me a break, dude. This is so... God, you nearly can't go anywhere in Christian media, or media in general, but more specifically Christian media like this, without finding some dig at trans people or some dig at the LGBT community.
Now, if you don't know what that means that if you feel like you're a woman in a man's body, you wear women's clothing.
No, that isn't actually what was happening in the TV show. I remember these sections of the TV show. They were like dressing up as other people to try to trick Ash. You know, they would dress as the nurse at the hospital to try to gain access to his Pokemon so they could take them or whatever. They're the antagonists of the story. They're the bad guys who are trying to trick people and take their Pokemon and stuff. They weren't trans. Has nothing to do with that. But in these people's minds, being trans is automatically associated with evil, with bad, with wrong. That's why he's taking this angle. He knows it's a cheap, quick, easy attack that he can use against Pokemon, because these people are already primed to dislike the trans community. So why not use that against Pokemon? Absolutely disgusting.
You wear women's clothing. You dress like one. If you're a woman who feels manly, you wear men's underclothing.
Again, this has absolutely nothing to do with the TV show. Neither of the characters were trans. They were just trying to trick people so they could gain access to their Pokemon. Simple as that. But he's just weaponizing the hatred against the trans community.
Dress like one. Cross-dressing. Oh, what kind of role model would that be? Okay, now remember at the first, I think that's enough right here, because I think we've got a pretty well good establishment on this thing. Remember that I said that if the characters were the kind of role models that established the kind of values, standards, and morals that we wanted our kids to have when they got to be an adult, that this game or this particular thing is okay. Remember
Yeah, he completely misrepresented all of it. I mean, I have no investment in whether or not this guy likes Pokemon. Obviously he doesn't. I just want to point out how propaganda works. It is an innocent TV show that was just fun and enjoyable for little kids, and he found these little ways to demonize it. These characters, the antagonists of the show, were just trying to pretend to be different characters so that they could gain access to people's Pokemon, and so they dress up as like a nurse or something, and he calls that being trans. That's how propaganda works. That's how it spreads, and that's how information and ideas are manipulated to be something completely other than what they are. This is the kind of thing that you see in the Christian community or in cults all the time. You see this all the time. When these people talk about Pokemon, it sounds so prejudiced against Japanese culture to me. We don't like this because it's part of the other. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you were here in the very beginning of this or not, but he said these things tend to come over from the Orient and stuff, and it just sounded racist. I don't know. It was just really, really cringy the way he worded the entire thing. I always viewed Pokemon as an allegory for journeying the world, making friends, and enjoying new experiences. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what it was all about. It was about this kid that was going through the world and enjoying his time and meeting new friends and all that stuff. That's it. That's what it was about. It wasn't about witchcraft. It wasn't about being a master or a god. It wasn't about cross-dressing, quote unquote. It wasn't about any of that. But they're going to retroactively write that in. They're going to make people think that that's what it was about. Honestly, pastors don't really criticize Pokemon like this anymore. Not many of them anyways. But they sure did back then. It was an incredibly popular thing to do back then, to attack and criticize Pokemon. Now, it's kind of lost its craze, Pokemon has, in large part. And all of the arguments and hatred toward it has kind of died out because they're tired arguments at this point. But watch for this kind of criticism today, because it still actively, currently happens. It's just not against Pokemon anymore. It's against every other thing. This exact type of thing happens against, like, CRT, for example, critical race theory, and a bunch of other stuff. There are constant culture war issues. Harry Potter and everything else. Like, anything kids are interested in, people like this guy will find some reason for it to be wrong and evil and bad. And I was one of those kids that wasn't allowed to consume certain media because those culture war issues took root with my parents. It's honestly really sad. Honestly really sad that people are prevented, or kids are prevented from just enjoying their childhood and enjoying the little things like this. Zang, technology is incredible. You can now store and recall items in Pokemon as data via demonic summoning. Yeah, that's the kind of fact manipulation and the type of uncharitable interpretation and misreading that they engage in on a regular basis. That's what we're watching. That kind of thing. It's the exact type of thing that they did back then and that they do today too.
Okay, so let's examine what we got. Let's see. Headstrong, stubborn, quibbling, self-centered, vindictive, obnoxious, hormonal, sexually preoccupied, evil, thieving, cross-dressing jerks.
No, it was just a kids show, Steve. It was just a fun little kids show, nothing more. No. I mean, I can find a billion positive qualities that these people, or that these kids in Pokemon portrayed. They had a strong sense of moral values. They always believed in doing the right thing. And the people who did the wrong things, like stealing or, being pretentious like Gary was or whatever, they were the antagonists. They were viewed as the bad guys of the show. There were a lot of positive values that Pokemon displayed in the TV show. But it wasn't about the positive moral values. They weren't really trying to spread positive morals to kids, though they did. They were just trying to entertain. That's it. It was just entertaining, and they can't even let kids have that.
I don't know about you, but I mean, even if I wasn't a Christian parent, I wouldn't want my kids to grow up with those kind of traits. Then we have to actually say that the characters of this game don't biblically stand up, do they? In other words, they don't represent the kind of values and standards we want our kids to have. And they're definitely not the role models we want our kids to be. But these are the characters that our children are identifying with day after day after day, playing this game, watching the cartoon, reading the books, looking at the videos. Now, we're also told that these actual beings have supernatural abilities. In other words, they can evolve and grow into bigger and better monsters.
They were not supernatural abilities. They were natural abilities. They had the ability to... everything that these Pokemon did, for the most part, was all based on their anatomy, and they weren't summoning powers from demons. I mean, that's what I assume he means when he says supernatural abilities. It wasn't about summoning power or whatever. I mean, I guess that there are some psychic Pokemon, but he's... Again, this is how propaganda is used. He's twisting it around to make it out like these Pokemon regularly summon their power from beyond the grave or something.
Now, this is a scene, actually this is a poster from the movie. And look here, this is Mew over here, M-E-U. He's kind of cute.
It's M-E-W, M-E-W, not M-E-U.
And this is Mewtwo over here, complete with his satanic salute. And if you notice, that pose is always given with the left hand. That's significant. Remember the left-hand path?
No, it isn't. It is not significant. It's only significant in your head, Steve. That's it.
And we're told that they get bigger and better. Of course, that's what we always want. Bigger and better monsters. That's what the world needs. And we're told that they get bigger and better through the use of energy. Now...
The use of energy? What?
A funny thing happened. Well, actually, it wasn't funny, but an interesting thing happened when this movie, Pokemon, was actually first released in Japan. I want you to see it. This is from CNN. Look at this. Because this is very highly unusual.
Japanese cartoon triggers seizures in hundreds of children. Okay, let me explain to you guys exactly what happened with this. There was a part of the show, one episode, where something was blinking. I don't remember what it was. Pikachu's eyes, maybe, or I don't know. Anyway, it was blinking at a very specific rate. And when there's a flashing at a certain rate with certain other factors at play, it can cause epileptic seizures in certain kids. A lot of Japanese games around that time did the exact same thing. Final Fantasy VII, for example, has a part that causes seizures. There are a lot of games out today that do that, but luckily, in America, we have passed legislation to try to prevent that kind of thing. Like, you're not allowed to send out a picture that blinks at, 3 blinks per second or something. I don't remember exactly what the rate is. Anyway, that's what caused the seizures, was a blinking image. It wasn't because they were satanic. It wasn't because Satan was coming in through... What the hell am I doing in this game? It wasn't because Satan was coming in through the TV or any of that stuff, like he's about to make out. It was simply a physiological response to a blinking image, nothing more. And guess what? They removed that episode, and the seizures stopped.
Japanese cartoon triggers seizures in hundreds of children. And look at this.
Millions watched the show, I have to imagine. It's a surprise it was only 100. That's because it's an incredibly uncommon thing to happen. Epileptic seizures caused by a blinking screen, extremely rare.
This is Tokyo, December 17th, 1997. This is when the movie was first actually released over in Japan. The bright flashing lights of a popular TV cartoon became a serious matter Tuesday evening when they triggered seizures in hundreds of Japanese children. In a national survey, the Tokyo Fire Department found that at least 618 children had suffered convulsions, vomiting, irritated eyes, and other symptoms after watching Pokemon.
And what caused it, Steve? Was it caused by Satan trying to work his way into their lives through their TV screen? Or was there a natural explanation, a blinking image?
Japanese television network NHK reported that 111 people were still hospitalized Wednesday morning. And now spokesman Hiroshi Uramoto said that a later broadcast of the show scheduled for 30 other stations nationwide had been canceled and that an investigation was well underway. We are shocked to hear many children were taken to hospitals, Uramoto said. We will investigate thoroughly and consult with experts. And do you know what they found?
Oh, please tell me what they found, Steve. I'm dying to know. I mean, I just explained this to you guys, so let's see how he propagandizes.
Not one of those children had a history of epilepsy. Now, you know...
Okay, yeah, that's probably true. They didn't realize that they had epilepsy, or they didn't realize that they were sensitive to the blinking images or whatever. Again, everything the guy says is nonsense. You can't trust a word out of his mouth, so I doubt that that's even the case. But assuming that it is, just being charitable to him, which I have no reason to be, but even being charitable to him, that's probably true because 6 to 12-year-olds were watching this TV show. Naturally, they wouldn't have a history of it yet because it hadn't come up in their lives yet. That makes sense, even coming at it from his angle.
Working in the mental health field for as long as I did, I can tell you that bright flashing lights will trigger off in occasion seizures and convulsions in kids.
No. Are you kidding me? Really? This is news to me. I had no idea.
Or even adults that are prone to be epileptic. But not in 100 and so kids who have no seizure problem.
That's not what you said. You said they had no recorded history of epilepsy. That doesn't mean they didn't have epilepsy. It means they didn't know that they had epilepsy, first of all. And second, yeah, 600 or so out of how many millions of kids watched this? This is like the #1 TV show for who knows how long. So what's he saying? Who did it? Was it Satan?
And no epileptic history. There's something unusual about that. And they went through, and it goes on further to say that they went through and even did CAT scans. And the whole premise was that at the end, they had to conclude that they don't know why it happened.
So it was Satan, right?
Is that by coincidence? Or did something happen that they can't explain?
Yeah, it was Satan. That's his explanation. This is absolutely unhinged from reality. This guy is completely out of touch with reality at this point.
Is that by coincidence? Or did something happen that they can't explain? Remember I said that they get their energy through energy balls.
I have no idea what he means when he says Pokemon get their energy through energy balls. I honestly do not know what that means. It's just nonsense.
And here is a picture of cute little Pikachu, and he's being energized by an energy ball.
No, those are his cheeks. Are you kidding me? Do you know, like, literally nothing about this TV show?
And now you notice he's not quite so cute anymore, and his little satanic tail is really erect.
His satanic tail is erect. Oh my God. This guy is so many levels of ridiculous.
And now parents, if you're not up on Pokemon, you need to be. And one of the things you can do is go out and buy the official Pokemon trading card game Player's Guide. And you can get this at any store that sells any of the Pokemon stuff. I mean anything. You can get it like at Toys R Us or any of those places that sell any of the Pokemon. And it says on the back of this, catch them all, then build an unbeatable tournament deck. And one of the things you can do is look through here because it shows every Pokemon in existence, and it tells you what their powers are, and it tells you how they get weak, and it
I had something similar when I was little because I had the video game. I had this booklet that told you like what level they leveled up when they learned their moves, all of it. It was really, really useful.
Tells you how they energize and what you need to energize them. But something very unusual is also in this book, and that is that they actually show the energy balls that is used to make these monsters bigger and better. I want you to see them.
Okay, this specifically only applies to the trading card game, first of all. In the trading card game, you have energy cards, and you can, like, stack energy and stuff, from my understanding. I have never played it before. That's just what I did collect them for a while, and that's just what I know of it. That's not the case in the game. That's not the case in lore. That's just for the sake of playing a card game, nothing more.
I hope you can see them from where I am. I'm going to hold it out here so hopefully you can see it. Look at the yellow. What do you see?
A lightning bolt?
Lightning bolt. Look here. All-seeing eye.
Yeah, of course he believes that this is like part of the Illuminati's plan to like control kids and stuff, so.
Everybody see that? Up here is the clenched fist, symbol for rebellion, anarchy.
No, it's just the fighting type Pokemon symbol. That's it.
Right down here is a powerful witchcraft symbol where my finger is. Powerful witchcraft symbol, and it's a symbol for fire.
So anytime you see a flame anywhere, it means like witchcraft?
Down here is another powerful witchcraft symbol, actually a New Age symbol. They call a New Age symbol for earth. Okay, which is a green leaf. And down at the bottom here, this blue ball down in here is the symbol for energy of water. And
it's just like a drop. It's like a water drop or whatever.
Water transforms into wind. Earth, wind, and fire, the three.
The band. Oh, my God. They're talking about the band. That's where it got it. It's starting to connect now. Pokemon got their symbols from the band Earth, Wind, and Fire. It makes perfect sense now. I understand.
Basic elements of all witchcraft, parents. And I'm going to ask you, parents, grandparents, concerned aunt and uncles, friends, do you think they put that in there by coincidence? Do you think they just built this game, put these on there, and said, hey, let's just put those symbols on there. They look cool. Kids won't know what they are, but they'll like them because they look cool. Or did they put them on there because they know what the meaning of each one of those symbols is? And they want to desensitize our children to seeing those symbols so much that when they see them in other things, hey, no big deal. There is a devised plan going on for the battle of our children's minds.
This guy really does live in a delusional world.
There's a war going on right now for the children because Satan wants them really bad. Who better to serve the Antichrist than the youth? And the whole object is to catch them while they're young. Remember the Pokemon motto? Gotta catch them all? Who do you think feels that way? It's the enemy. Gotta catch them all.
Doesn't Jesus feel that way too? Doesn't Jesus want to win souls or whatever?
Gotta get them while they're young. Gotta induct satanic doctrine. Gotta put these symbols in their spirits. Gotta put these monsters in their heads. Gotta mess up their dreams. Gotta mess up their reality. Gotta break up the family. Have you ever tried to get talking to a child when he's into this game? It's impossible. They spend...
That's because he's trying to focus on things and you're interrupting the focus. Why don't you just leave him alone for a while?
more time on this Pokemon. And you know what? It's amazing that your child can tell you every Pokemon in existence, even tell you where they get their power, what they do, and how they do it, but they can't tell you what you told them 5 minutes ago.
Well, maybe if you were more interesting, it would be easier to remember what you said. You ever think about that? Maybe it's your fault. Maybe Nintendo just knows how to help kids remember things in an entertaining way or whatever. No. It's the parents, or it's Satan's fault. Satan is trying to control your kids. Absolutely.
They also can't tell you probably what they learned in school that day.
That's a failing on the school, and absolutely, I blame the school for that. The school needs to be better about how they teach things to kids.
And even worse than that, they can't quote you scripture.
Again, boring is sin. Nobody gives a shit about scripture.
There's something wrong. And I'm talking to the men right now because, men, we've been given an awesome task by God. We have nothing to say about it. You know why? God tells us that we're the priest of our homes. We are the ones who say, we are going to follow God. I don't care what anyone else does, but as for me and my family, we are going to serve the Lord. We are the ones who are supposed to say, this stuff is going to be allowed, and this stuff is out. And ladies, women of God, you've got an awesome task ahead too, because the Word of God says that you're to raise your children in the ways of the Lord. Not in the ways of these Pokemon, not in the ways of witchcraft or Satan worship, but in the ways of the Lord. Are we doing that? Or are we subtly giving in? This is a picture from one of the comic books. Look at this. Pokemon Psychic Surprise. Surprise, all right. Look at this. This creature right here is called Haunter. And
Wait, which one is he pointing at? I just want to make sure he gets it right, because he has a bad habit of not getting it right. Let's see.
Surprise. Surprise, all right. Look at this. This creature right here is called Haunter.
No, that one is actually Gengar. You're pointing at Gengar, old buddy. Haunter is the one on the back right. But that wouldn't fit your narrative, would it? I get, he could have just pointed at the actual Haunter Pokemon. Why doesn't he get things correct? Because he doesn't know the correct answers. Because he's completely oblivious. He has no idea what he's talking about. That's why.
And I talked to 3 kids in 3 different cities who actually came up and told me that they were having bad dreams, and that creature was in their dreams.
I bet. Why don't you give me some evidence? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me to find that, kids are having bad dreams, and that was a part of it, because kids have bad dreams, and they dream about the things that they know, the things that they're familiar with, and Pokemon is familiar in their lives. So naturally, people would have dreams about it. It's not the direct cause of the bad dreams, more than likely. And second, sometimes people like to be scared. Sometimes they enjoy that. That is the reason why. In fact, he talked about this earlier. People like to be scared sometimes. That's why horror movies exist. He's trying to demonize something when it's completely unjustified, and it just bothers me.
Called Haunter. That makes sense. Haunt. Right up here is a creature that's not quite so cute now. This over here is not quite so cute.
That one's ghastly that he's pointing at.
Little Pikachu down here, he's crying his eyes out. He's not cute, and even Ash doesn't look cute anymore. Psychic Surprise. And going back to those energy balls, I believe that those energy balls represent that the Pokemon get their power by supernatural occult ability. You saw this.
Okay, well, that's not canon. You can believe it to your heart's content. It doesn't make it true.
Symbols. Remember, the materials speak for itself. They give themselves away. And what made that even more evident was 2 cards. One was called Abra, and the other is called Kadabra.
Yeah, Abra and Kadabra, they're Pokemon, right. Haunter is called Ghost in Japanese. Really? Is that the case? That's really interesting.
Abra, Kadabra. And that's an actual phrase. It's an actual name. Listen to this. Webster's Dictionary defines it as a word supposed to have magic powers and hence used in incantations, on amulets, etc., a magic spell or formula.
Okay. I thought you used to be a witch or a Satanist or whatever. What happened to all that Satanist and or witch knowledge that you had? Why are you looking up the definitions in Webster's Dictionary? Isn't this something that, wasn't this in the Bible or something? I don't remember what this is exactly, but there's something about this. It's just an Arabic word from my understanding. Yeah, and don't forget Alakazam too there, bud.
And on the Abra card, it says, using its ability to read minds, it will identify impending danger and teleport the user to safety. The Kadabra character has a pentagram on his forehead.
It's not a pentagram, it's just a star. It's just a regular old plain star. This is fear-mongering from beginning to end.
And he has SSS across his chest.
No, they're just little lightning bolt shapes. That's it. They're not. It's not SSS.
And it is the Satanic SSS. And in my
Well, how do you know it's the Satanic SSS? Like, this is a secondary level of claim.
SSS. And in my particular sect of Satanism, we didn't have it, but I ran into other groups that did. They had tattoos on the inside of their wrist, over their breasts, or on the inside of their thigh, and it was that same SSS. You know what it stands for? Satan's Solemn Servant. And also, the Kadabra character is always pictured on the card with his left hand giving the satanic salute.
No, he's not. I mean, this is easily disproven. We can just go there and look. At best, he's just sticking his hand out in any given moment. He's not giving the satanic salute.
And again, I have to ask you, do you think that's on there by coincidence? Do you think they just made this game and said, hey, let's just throw that in there because it looks good?
No, I think your pattern recognition software in your brain is misfiring. I think that's what's happening right now.
Let's just throw that in there because it makes it look a little more exciting. Or did they put that in there because they know exactly what it means and they want our children to get desensitized to it? They want our children to be able to look at that and actually at one day now, while they're identifying with their favorite Pokemon, reach up and go, "Hail Pokemon!" And what are they actually hailing?
Oh, please. This is the cringiest shit.
Satan. Listen, our kids are carrying around these cards like they're magic symbols, and they are taught to believe that they can call on the powers of these cards anytime they want to.
You mean they are taught to believe they can pull the cards out and play a card game with their friend anytime they want? Yeah, that's true, I suppose. I don't think any kid out there believes that they're capable of pulling the card out and striking something with lightning. You know, if they pull out a Pikachu or something. This is so deeply delusional. I just don't even know where to go with it, honestly.
And I ask you, do you believe that our kids believe they have power?
No, I don't at all. I don't believe that our kids think they have secret powers from the cards.
Or do you think that this is just nothing but talk? Because if they don't believe that it has power, why are we seeing time after time after time news clips about our kids beating each other up on school grounds, even stabbing each other over Pokemon cards?
Quebec teens stabbed at school over Pokemon cards. Is this real or is this fake? Let's just look this up. Let's just find out. Is this real or fake? I wouldn't put it past this guy to post something fake. It says October 27th. I'm not seeing a year. Okay, there is a case, a Montreal boy. This happened October 28th, 2000. No, I'm sorry. This happened October 28th, 1999. The Montreal thing. Officials in an elementary school in Laval, north of Montreal, are counseling students after a 14-year-old boy was stabbed Tuesday during a dispute over Pokemon cards. Pokemon started as a video game, became a hit TV show, and now the trading cards are in big demand, blah, blah, blah. Police say the 14-year-old was stabbed when he approached a 12-year-old and accused him of stealing a box of his little brother's Pokemon cards. The cards were thought to be worth $45. Okay. Well, you know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like he wasn't stabbed over Pokemon cards. He was actually stabbed over theft. And obviously this kid has something deeply wrong with him, that he would resort to violence and use a knife to solve his problems. Something really, really wrong in this kid's head, and it needs to be examined. Montreal is in Quebec. Okay, well, there you go. I just find it weird they gave me different dates, because here it says October 27th. In my article it said 28th, but anyway. Yeah, obviously Pokemon is not causing a rash of stabbings across the country. Obviously, there's some underlying mental issue happening with this kid. That seems completely obvious to me. But he's going to disregard logic and reason in exchange for fear and propaganda.
Look at this. Quebec teen stabbed at school over Pokemon cards. This was in Montreal. And this was a 12-year-old student that tried to help his younger brother after his younger brother had his Pokemon card deck stolen from him. And he went over to these young men to get the cards back, and one of the boys pulled out a 4-inch knife and stabbed him with it.
Okay, that's not what I was reading. I think I read a slightly different version of the story, but either way, obviously these kids are disturbed and have problems that need to be resolved and should be talking to a therapist, and I'm sure that's what happened. You can't blame Pokemon on every societal ill. And honestly, how quaint. A school stabbing for once? We're talking about school stabbings? Of course, this happened in 2000, so how deeply sad, man.
Look at this. Boy attacks teacher over Pokemon. Here in Lakeland, Florida, there was a young boy who had a deck of Pokemon cards, and he was passing them around the class, and the woman teacher noticed that they were paying more attention to Pokemon than they were her. So she waited for the deck to get back to this young man, and then she walked over and grabbed that deck out of his hand. He got up and struck her dead in the face with his fists.
Yeah, you don't think this stuff happens all the time in schools anyways, whether it's over a pencil or a piece of paper or even a Bible, anything at all. I mean, this stuff happens constantly, you know? Kids act like little nutter butters. It's not very often, and it's a very small subset of children who do this kind of thing. But it happens. This is not unique to Pokemon. If Pokemon were the only thing experiencing this issue and kids were perfect little angels before Pokemon appeared, I may feel differently. This is all fear-mongering nonsense all the way down.
And of course, he got called in on the principal's carpet in the office, and they called for the parents. The parents came to pick him up, and you know what he told his father? They were trying to steal my powers.
Okay, well, if he said that in real life, I'm not convinced he did, but if he really did, he actually does live in a delusion and needs mental help immediately. Like, this is not Pokemon that's the problem in this case. This is a mental condition that this kid has that needs to be addressed immediately.
Our kids are taught to believe that these things actually have supernatural ability.
No.
And that they can call on them anytime they want to because their material states that.
No to all of this. There's absolutely nothing about this that's true.
In this book, it tells your child, you have the power at your fingertips, so use it. And that's what they're doing. This game is a war designed to attack our children's minds, their very character. And if it gets into our homes, it will wreck family life in one way, shape, or form. This stuff is nothing more than unadulterated witchcraft, and it's put in a child's form, designed to attack the child and the parents and the entire family that this thing is associated with. That's exactly what it's designed to do, and that's what it does. Pokemon is a step to bigger and better things in the occult. And I have to wonder sometime when a grade school child is going to do what the Weeping Bell Razor Leaf Pokemon card says. It says this: it spits out poison powder to immobilize the enemy and then finishes the enemy with a spray of acid. And these cards cost anywhere from $7 to $9 per single pack. And there are report after report of children going into their parents' pocketbook and stealing money to go out and buy these cards.
This is just delusional from top to bottom. It is honestly kind of entertaining to listen to. And it's a really, really useful lesson in how cults, like, propagandize people. Now, I'm not saying this is a cult, but it gives us insight into how propaganda spreads and how it's created. Really fascinating stuff.
What is the purpose? What is the magic that's behind the whole game of Pokemon? I think by looking at it in that realm and looking at it the way that we've looked at it, I don't see it as being something that is beneficial to our children. I don't see it as being something that's going to help our family grow. And I sure don't see it as something that's going to help get the child established in the ways of the Lord. This is totally the opposite. Remember that the whole goal in all of these role-playing games, and especially in Pokemon, is to become the master.
Wow, that's the end. That was the end of his speech. Absolutely fascinating. You know, I don't think that this is delusional thinking, what he's presented to us here. I think that this is the result of deep-seated fear, deep-seated panic, moral panic happening in the country. This was in the 2000s or so. This is left over from the Satanic panic. You know, we see something similar happening today, even. Like, this carried through to today, all the way to today. This kind of moral panic. It's absolutely ridiculous, and they will grasp at any straw they can to make people think that their lives are in danger from the most innocuous stuff. It is truly fascinating to watch, but really, really sad to know that people really do believe this stuff. First time chatter, Trippy Feet. My students love Pokemon cards, lol. Never seen them act them out, though. Yeah, this guy is just full of it. Completely full of it, obviously. But it was entertaining to watch anyway.